When times are at their toughest, just keep swimming. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Fired Podcast. Let's get this bread! Oh, it feels good to be back on the mic again. Hey everyone, welcome if you're tuning in on the video, if you're tuning in on the audio. The audio doesn't really work with the sound as much, does it? Welcome back, and today is going to be a really good fucking episode. And it's probably going to be a quick one, let's be honest. But who knows? It's me. I tend to speak whatever's on my mind. So normally with the podcast, I have an idea, generally a week, 2 weeks, sometimes even further in advance of what that episode's going to be. And I have a bit of a structure of it, and I kind of understand briefly what the thing is that I'm gonna talk about. And then the magic really happens when I just basically push go, I push record, and I just spit. And this week was a little bit different. I have a bunch of stuff written down of different episodes to do with the podcast, and I kind of hadn't decided on anything yet. And yesterday I heard a couple of old songs, like kind of alternative, old kind of music, and I heard two songs in a row that were about the subject of suicide, and it was overly obvious in like the music video and that kind of thing as well, and they made a big point of sort of saying that, and it just sort of hit me as like, yep, I'm talking about this tomorrow. Like, and I wasn't even thinking about the podcast or anything. I just kind of got this inclination of, I feel like I need to speak on this, especially because here in Melbourne, in Australia, we have had, over the course of the year, so many people put up things saying, you know, we've had a few amount of deaths due to everything that's going on, and a lot more suicides. And, you know, that's, I mean, speculation, but the speculation on it is that it's due to the situation of us sort of being locked down for so long. Apparently, we hold the record for the most lockdown days in the world, or the most lockdown place in the world. I don't know, something like that, which isn't good, considering then we also have a very high rate of suicide. Anyway, so I feel like it's something that's close to a lot of our hearts here in Melbourne, and something that I think so many people are affected by. And the piece that I really got from the video, yes, all the videos, that these music videos that were playing, was, well, what it triggered in my mind was, you know, there is so much that happens in life. You know, a good friend of mine always says light and shade, right? The universe exists in both. Every day, everyone's life has both light and shade, good and bad. You know, good times, hard times, support and challenge, light and darkness. And it is easy to forget that, right? So for myself, I'm 29 years of age, and over that 29 years, in each year, right? So I've done 29 cycles. And in all those years, I can think back on some awesome times where I just felt absolutely incredible, on top of the world, you know, the clearest mind ever, felt carefree, felt just in awe of the beauty and the excellence that life can provide. And then in those same years, even weeks or months apart, felt complete despair, felt absolutely terrible, just like things would never get any better and I'd always feel this way. And I think in both situations you get to that point sometimes where you're like, life's always going to be amazing. You know, especially when, say, you're in a new relationship or something, right? It's like, life's really exciting, life's so amazing, you know? And then when you go through a breakup, for instance, right? Like the opposite end of that spectrum, right? You can feel terrible. and just like, oh man, life's always going to be shit. I'll never find someone again, whatever, all those thoughts, right? And I can tell you, I've had real dark moments where I'm just like, this is fucking shit. Like, who wants to live? Like, this sucks. But what's interesting is, if you just keep going along, just by nature of the way life works, you're eventually going to hit great times again. You're going to hit better times than whatever you're feeling now. And what's super interesting is I always look back fondly on those little moments of joy in amongst the darkness, right? So I went through a breakup a few years back, and I remember at the time I was just feeling crap and thinking about it all the time, and I was just in a lot of pain, I guess you could call it. I was just going through a really shitty grieving period, I suppose, after that relationship. And there was these moments where I was like, I had to be very conscious of doing things to make myself feel better. Because I spent a good couple of days just in bed, probably more, just in bed, just on my phone, scrolling through shit, and literally just not wanting to talk to anyone or do anything. And I just felt miserable all the time. I remember sitting there and lying there at one point, and I just thought, I am going to feel this way until I stop feeling this way. And so what can I do to make myself stop feeling like this? I need to break my state. I need to get the fuck out of my head. And so I immediately got up, changed into my workout gear, and went to the gym. And I just went on the elliptical machine. And I knew that if I did that for 45 minutes as a minimum, or whatever it was, I would feel awesome. Like I even knew 15 minutes in, I would start to forget about everything. I'd listen to either some music or a podcast or something that would make me feel good. And I would break state. I'd be in a state where I'm sweating and I'm moving, and my physiology would change, and therefore my brain chemistry would change. And I knew that would be my way out of it. And so, and as a little background for you, I had stopped going to the gym for a while before that, because I knew that this breakup sort of thing was coming, and I just felt crap, and I just didn't want to go and do the work. I was just like, no, I'm just feeling miserable for my fucking self. But I knew it was the only way to get me out of it, to make me feel good again. And it was kind of my way, working out again and doing cardio and all those kinds of things again, and putting the body in that exercise mode was the thing that would get me out of that. And that, funnily enough, the breakup led to me then focusing more on that area of my life again, which is great. And there was just little pieces like that I would do, like every day when I would leave from work at the job I had at the time. I would listen to Game Grumps, which is my favorite YouTube channel at the time. And I would also, when I got home, have a little snack before the gym. And I'd go to the gym with a housemate, and I'd watch Game Grumps in bed and eat Oreos with peanut butter. I'd open the Oreos and put the peanut butter on them. And I remember the music that I was listening to at the time, a couple of bands and songs and things that I found and I was listening to at the time. And even just hearing those songs or listening to those old episodes of Game Grumps or anything like that, thinking back on those times, I was so happy. I was in such a great state because I was focusing on doing things for me that would make me feel really good, and building a nice little routine that was like, okay, get home from work, quickly eat some food, and watch this thing, and then we'll go to the gym. And then we'd go to the gym and we'd smash the session. And, so I had like my treat in there. I had, the thing that I like to watch every day, and I had the exercise, all those things, and the music and all those. It all was just me being so conscious about, I need to do things that will make me not feel in this shitty state so I can actually do something, because I just felt like just crap all the time. And this whole idea of just keep swimming, just keep going, is really the thing that got me through and has got me through a lot of things. There was a time, was it sort of 6 months ago? 6 months? No, way more than 6 months ago now. We're probably getting closer to like a year on now. Yeah, okay, somewhere in the last year, I had a lot of financial stress. And I remember just feeling crap about that all the time, and just ashamed of it and not wanting to talk to anyone about it either. And that was another piece where I just felt crap, but I didn't know how to express it to anyone because I was judging myself so hard for it. And I had never been in that kind of position before where I was really financially stressed. I had small pieces, you're like, oh fuck, how am I going to pay this bill at the end of the week or whatever, and things just work out or you make it happen or, whatever, you're tight on money for the next week. Or I've had moments like that of the small financial stress. Of course, everyone has, but this was a time where I was just really financially stressed and didn't know what the fuck was going to happen. And I got really upset about it and I just felt crap all the time. And I was more anxious and stressed about it than just sort of being, I suppose, more depressed or just, feeling shitty and just kind of feeling miserable and sad and I was like, it was like tension all the time. And there was moments in that as well where I had fun times with friends, and I even just sat down and there's a video game that my brother and I played together at the time. And just those small pieces, once again, were the things that cleared my mind. And I did so much fucking meditation and journaling. Holy shit. It was just like, I was so conscious of it. Like the moment I started to feel stressed or shit, it's like, okay, I'm going to go do a meditation for 10 minutes and it'll sort me out. And it would keep me going for hours and hours after that. And then if I ever felt like that again, or I just felt slight kind of, even like being sort of lethargic or whatever, I was just like, meditation's going to clear me up. And that was my go-to at the time, was just meditate all the time. And so I just meditated. And so that was another break state. I mean, that was the thing that kept me going, kept me swimming, right? And I think no matter what part of life, right? So even if you're just a person who's going through some tough times, right? Or you want to do a new thing, like there's a new project that you want to start, there's a new goal that you want to do, a new skill that you want to learn, something. There's something that you want to get done, and you experience that frustrating starting point where you're not very good at it. And just by the way, everyone has that. There's a great quote from that same show I was talking about, Game Grumps, before, my favorite YouTube channel. Go check them out. They're fucking sick. One of the guys spoke about this and said, Eric Clapton had day one, And I think that's the thing, we view everything in such small pieces sometimes, like, oh, I feel crap at this time, or I'm not good at this thing this time, or I'm just whatever. I had to fucking learn how to make coffee earlier this year. It was something that I really wanted to do really well, and I felt like I was terrible at for so long, and I just kept practicing it. And I think that's the biggest thing. Just keep swimming. Just keep going with that thing. I remember when I started playing guitar, and if you're watching this on the video, you'll see there's guitars sort of scattered all around the room. I have many guitars now, and it's something that I quite enjoy. It's a great piece of my life. But when I first started, I had a goal of being better than my brother. He was the best guitarist that I knew at the time, apart from probably my uncle. But he was just kind of like God status in my mind, because he just pick up any instrument, and he's a musical genius. He is. But my brother was the best guitarist that I knew, and he used to play guitar like all the time and stuff in our room. We used to live in the same bedroom, and so for me it was this thing of like, that's the benchmark. I just got to be better than Phil, and that was just my focus all the time. And then I eventually got into like heavy music, and the riffs were more technical, and it was a big learning curve for me. And I remember playing one day, and my brother just sort of turned to me and he's like, "Fuck, you're definitely better than me." And I kind of forgotten that was the goal, but I never really saw myself as better than him until he verbalized it, and I was like, "Oh, I'm better than you now at guitar, like technically." And that was like a moment where I was just like, "Oh shit." I had this goal and I didn't even know I hit it, And how often do we do that in life? We forget what are those goals, what are those things we're aiming for, and we just get stuck in, I'm not good at this or whatever. And for me, I had to give up guitar at one point because I couldn't do the chords. I was too young, I suppose, and I think my hands, I just didn't have the calluses and all the things, and I couldn't get the chords, and it was just like I hit a wall, and I was like, oh, I can't get past that, and eventually found it again. And Bob's your uncle, right? But it's an interesting thing, because I had this unconscious goal of, I want to be better than this person, and I surpassed that without understanding it, without taking kind of a moment to go, oh fuck, I did that thing, But it's easy to sit there and go, oh, I can't, like I did, I gave up, I couldn't get past this point. I'm not good at this, and I didn't keep going, and I eventually had to pick it up again. But it's the same. Doesn't matter what it is that you want to achieve in life. If you're starting a fucking business, if you're trying to learn a new skill, right? Whatever it is, just keep going with it. DeMartini once said, his what he believes is the reason he's still around, and so many other people who were in business and the big players at the time aren't around now. He said, if you just keep going, you just keep creating content, you just keep doing the work, eventually everyone else will fade away and you'll be the one left. Doesn't mean you're better than them, but you just outlasted them because you actually outlasted them. So, massive piece. And it is applicable to the topic of suicide. And when you are feeling depressed and lonely and sad and all of these emotions and anxious and stressed out and all these things. And so many people go through that these days. Myself, as I said, I've gone through that in the past as well. And had those times where I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be any better. Like, I honestly don't see it ever getting any better. And I just need to not feel this way all the time. And luckily, as I said, I turn to these things like friends and the things. I watched a lot of motivational fucking videos at the time. Just, I needed to do anything to make me feel better. And this is after 9 months of sort of being in the same house and not going anywhere because we're in lockdown, right? So I completely understand what people are going through. And I've been there and it sucks. And what you need to understand is when you're going through those times is those moments are fleeting. And if you look over the spectrum of your life, those moments really are few and far between. And yet when you're in that state, it is very easy to look at everything and say, well, I've kind of always felt like this and things have always been shit, because you're in that feeling at that time. And that's kind of all your brain's able to perceive. You've got this sort of box around, you've got these blinders on. And if you allow yourself to break state, right? So like I did, whether it's going and playing guitar or whether it's, doing something that you love or going for a run and exercising, do these things to get you out of your space, out of your state, change your physiology up, and it will change your mind as well, because the brain and the mind are connected. It's called psychophysiology. And so if you keep doing these things, you keep moving, you keep doing those things, and you work on something, you make progress on something, you spend time with those people, and you get that side of your needs met, right? And you sort yourself out like that, you will be able to break state and then look back on your life and look at things and really as a holistic view and say, oh, you know what? I haven't felt like this all the time. And really realistically over the longitude, is that a word? Over the length of my life, this is a small moment, and these are small moments, and the course of my life has actually been great if I look at it. And yes, I've had ups and downs all the time, and those ups and downs, even the down times, right? Those hardships have taught me so much. And you can look at it in that state and go, you know what? This is just one of those pieces, and I can't wait. I'm so excited for all the growth that's going to come out of this. And that's what I used to say to myself. I'm so excited for the next chapter. I'm so excited for what this is going to teach me. And I don't know what it's going to teach me now, but I know when I get there, I'm going to feel so good, and I know this is going to be helpful for me. And I knew that, and yet even saying that felt like a lie at the time. I didn't really believe it. But the more I told myself that, the more I believed it. And I think that's a massive piece. Just keep going and tell yourself that things are going to be great. And funnily enough, they will. Life has a way of kind of working things out like that. So in that shit time, which is really fleeting, all the good shit, all the best stuff, it's coming your way. And I know it's hard, but you got to hold on. You got to keep going. You got to keep swimming. One foot in front of the other. And I know how hard it is to keep going, and you just want all of that pain to stop. You just want all of it to be over. But unfortunately, it's only over when you go through it. You got to go through it to then grow through it. And that's the piece. If you don't, you got to grow. You got to go through it all. Once you go through it, then you can grow through it. And It doesn't matter if it's a goal that you want to do, some sort of task that you want to achieve. You won't get to all the good stuff unless you keep going. You have to keep going. Why sit through all this shit and not get to all the good stuff? It's so important that you keep going. And I know it's tough. I've fucking been there. But all the best shit is coming for you. And so if you're going through a hard time right now, just keep going and just wait for all that awesome shit to hit you. It's going to be so fucking good. And even now, I know that you're starting to see all the good stuff that you already have. Focus on what those things are. And just keep fucking swimming. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next episode. Alright.
Better late than never. I guess it simply was meant to be. And it's clear for all to see. 1 and 1 makes 3 perfectly. Better late than never for you and me.
Oh, I got a fucking dead leg like a motherfucker. Shit!